Hi, welcome to the Faith and Wellness Sista. I'm so glad that you clicked on this video. I upload videos on a weekly basis based on my walk with Jesus Christ and my fitness and wellness journey. I do hope that you and I can journey together towards becoming the healthiest, fittest versions of ourselves, spiritually, physically, and mentally. This week, I thought we could chat about 5 things that I stopped and 5 things that I started doing to help me get further along in my health and wellness journey. So like I've said, I'm nowhere near where I would like to be when it comes to my health journey, but I'm certainly not where I used to be. And I'm so glad that, I am where I am now. And I hope that I can help you along on your fitness journey. So I'm going to start off with the 5 things that I stopped. The first thing that I stopped was I stopped wanting to be the smallest version of myself. I think as women especially, once we realize that we were actually made to take up space, we were made to be people of influence, and not to take anything away from men, because we love men and we are not about the life of trying to downgrade men or say that we want to be the same as men. God didn't make us to be the same as men. Thank goodness. We were each created for a special purpose, for a unique purpose. So I have stopped wanting to be the smallest version of myself, and this is in my body. I've stopped wanting to be the skinniest version of myself, and it is in my work. It is in everything. I want to be the best version of myself, yes, but definitely not the smallest. And when it comes to my weight, this was certainly true. And then number 2 is I stopped wanting to weigh myself all the time. So I stopped weighing myself. I think I actually got to a place where I was obsessed with weighing myself. And the funny thing is, for many, many years, I didn't actually know how much I weighed. I just never weighed myself. I do not recall in my teen years ever weighing myself. Perhaps if I went to the doctor and they weighed me, but it really meant nothing to me. It was just a number. It was like if they told me what my blood pressure was as a teenager, I really don't care. So I never weighed myself as a teenager, so I wasn't sure what I weighed. And I think it was probably in my 20s that I really started kind of getting to a place where I knew what my weight was. And especially when I was pregnant with my daughter, obviously I was going for my prenatal care checkups, and then I obviously needed to be weighed so that they could see how I was progressing along in my pregnancy. But even after that, I really didn't. It wasn't a big deal to me. Then I think in 2019 or 2018, my husband bought a scale. I'm not sure why he specifically bought a scale, but I'm sure that there was a good reason. But he bought a scale, and I just became obsessed with knowing how much I weighed. So by that time, I'd already gone to the doctor. They'd already said that they thought that I was obese. And I did find some pictures, thank God. So I'm going to attach some pictures in this video of myself at that time. And can I tell you that I do not believe I was obese? I keep scrutinizing those pictures because I'm like, I really want to see what they were talking about. And I just don't see it. Again, I do think that doctors do need to just be aware when delivering such news to young women or to women in general, that it can have a lasting impact. So I'd become quite obsessed with weighing myself, and it would depress me if I saw the number increase, and I would be so happy if the number decreased. And it is so silly looking back now. It really doesn't mean anything. And if I look back, even when I weighed the smallest number, I was not the healthiest physically, but I was also not the healthiest mentally. I did not feel good. I did not feel strong. I did not feel like my body was nourished. And I mean, that's so important, right? You want your body to feel good. You want your body to be able to do what it needs to do. And my husband always says that your body needs to be functional, okay? So it needs to look a certain way. That's great. That's awesome. It's great to look lean, but it needs to be functional. Your arm needs to be able to flex. It needs to be able to reach over a cupboard and get something, or whatever it is. And if you can't do those things, but you are the skinniest you've ever been, is that healthy? Is that healthy? Is that actually what you want for yourself? And the answer is probably no. So I stopped doing that. The third thing I stopped doing was I stopped restricting myself. I stopped telling myself, you can't eat certain things. Food is there for us to enjoy, but it is not there for us to abuse. And I think that we get to an unhealthy place with food where we are unhealthy, whether it is because we are now too skinny, or it is because we are too fat or too overweight, because we start to abuse food. Food is there for us to it's there to nourish our bodies, but it is also there for us to enjoy. And that is really why I think God created food. And you will notice also that the food God created is the natural food. It's in its natural state. And I do believe that that is the healthiest. The more food that I incorporate into my diet that is whole food, like your fruit, your vegetables, your meat. I eat chicken, I eat seafood. I don't eat any other meat at the moment, and I actually never have, because my mother didn't eat it when I was growing up. And when she would come and visit us in KZN, I just noticed she didn't eat, and I was like, I want to be just like this girl because she's so fun. So I am not going to eat meat also. So that's how I actually stopped. But I do believe that she had an allergic reaction to certain meats, and that's why she didn't eat it. So that's my story with that. So I do love my chicken, I do love my seafood, and I do enjoy all vegetables and fruit. But I've also just become so aware of how certain foods make me feel. And sometimes things that are perfectly healthy and, in their natural state still don't make me feel the greatest. But I'm also very aware that fast foods in general I do not react well to. Very overly oily things. Every now and then, obviously in moderation, there's no problem. I feel okay. But if we are going on a long trip and then we're making several stops, I can start to feel unwell. But I'm grateful for those cues, right? Like that I'm able to take from my body saying, hey, girl, you're overdoing that, or that's not really great for your gut, or whatever it is. And guys, I'm no expert on the topic of nutrition. I'm simply telling you what has worked for me or what I have noticed on my journey. And then the next thing that I stopped was I stopped dieting in general. I just stopped following certain diets. I stopped following keto or banting or whatever it was. I just stopped. I just started eating food and enjoying food for the purpose of it's going to nourish my body. Number two, food that satisfies me, food that makes me feel good. Like, I'm so grateful for that. I'm grateful that God didn't make food just for us to pour in our system and then it does the work. He created our tongues and saliva, and that it kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? There's like flavor and there's texture. There's just so much to enjoy about food in general. Apart from the fact that it's going to nourish us, it really does need to be satisfying. So find foods that you enjoy that are also good for you, that make you feel good. Okay, so those are the 5 things. Number 1, I stopped wanting to be the skinniest version of myself. Number 2, I stopped weighing myself. Number 3, I stopped restricting myself. Number 4, I stopped dieting. And number 5, I stopped caring what the number on the scale actually said, because it is just a number on the scale. It really actually means nothing. If you are feeling strong, if you are feeling healthy, if you are able to run around after your children, if you're able to run around after your grandchildren, if you are able to walk up a flight of stairs without going out of breath, whatever it is. But you will know when you are healthy, and you will know when you are not. If you're getting enough sleep, if you're getting enough water, and if you're getting the right nutrition, you will know. So the number on the scale is really, really inconsequential in my opinion. Obviously, I do understand that doctors will, align or associate certain numbers based on your BMI and all those measurements, and they will say, you know, like, you should try and keep within this side, but it is merely a guideline, guys. And I think if you truly want to get to the healthiest place with your body, you do need to nourish it correctly. You do need to take cues from your body. You need to follow the things that your body is telling you, and you need to move your body. And I think I would say that those are the most important. And then the things that I started doing that have led me to a really good place with my body was I started recognizing and following my hunger cues. So I think after those years of just eating poorly and of exercising excessively, I forgot like what actual hunger feels like, and I forgot what being full actually feels like. So I could easily overeat and I could easily undereat, and I didn't actually have a healthy balance. So I started trying to listen to my body. So sometimes I'll be eating something and it will be so good, I'll think, oh, I must have more. But I need to actually just stop myself and think, you know, am I actually hungry, or am I eating this because it's delicious? My daughter does this thing actually where she'll eat and then she'll stop. She'll just like stop, and then before she dishes her next plate, she just gives herself a minute to decide whether she actually wants it or needs it. And I think that's brilliant. That's something that she just does for herself. I don't think that she does it for any reason other than she just wants to make sure, do I actually want this next plate of food? And I think it's so healthy. But I've gotten to a place where I'm able to recognize my hunger cues, number one, and number two, honor those hunger cues. So I'm so grateful for that. I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm full. Like it's really that simple. Do I still eat food for enjoyment? Of course I do. I love food in general, and food for me, I attach it to certain feelings, unfortunately. Like if I miss my great grandmother, I've crave beans so badly because she used to make the most incredible bean stews. She used to make such incredible French toast. So whenever I'm really having lows or I really miss her, sometimes those are the foods that I'll have just because they feel like comfort to me. And I think that that's okay, you know. I think that that's perfectly normal. And then the next thing that I started doing was I started drinking enough water. So I've always loved water. I've always drank enough water. But I think that sometimes I would drink water because I would want to suppress a hunger feeling. And that's not what water's for. Like, I now just drink water because I'm thirsty. But I have found that anywhere between 1.5 liters to 2 liters serves my body well in a day. So I drink water when I am thirsty. I don't drink water because I am hungry and I don't want to eat. If I am hungry, I am going to eat something because that's my body saying it needs me to give it some energy. Okay, and then the next thing is I started doing minimal cardio. So what that means is I stopped doing excessive amounts of cardio. I used to do a lot of cardio, as I've mentioned before. I was a cardio bunny. But now I will do things like go for a walk if I feel like it. Often after like a really intense full body workout or a leg day, I do feel like I need to actually walk just to stretch out my muscles and to relax them. So I enjoy that. And I do still run and I enjoy running, but it's more for my mental health more than my fitness, my physical health journey, because I don't think that it's necessary. I don't think that running is necessary for anybody. And in fact, I was at my leanest when I wasn't running at all. So it's definitely not a necessity, but I love it. I miss it. I didn't run this week at all, so I really do miss it, and hopefully I will get a chance to run next week. And then the next thing is that I started incorporating strength training into my weekly workout routine. So I do strength training about 3 to 5 days a week. 3 days being the minimum, 5 days being the maximum. I do not exceed 5 working days because I just think that if I'm going to give it my all, I do need those rest days from strength training. But I enjoy strength training a lot. So 5 days to me does not feel that intense. Last week I only did 4 workouts, and they were actually quite short, just because of time constraints last week. But I love it, and that is when I saw the most improvement, is when I incorporated strength training. It was the most I saw in my muscle definition, in my physical strength abilities, and I'm so glad that I took the advice of the likes of Caroline Gervin, of Mad Fit, of Heather Robertson, of the Lean Girl, that really trailblazed the strength training route, that were pioneers in that space for me, that, were like, this is actually really good for you. And then the last thing I want to say is that the last thing that I did was I actually started thinking further than now. I started thinking, I want to live a long life, okay? I want to live a long life. I want to be able to see my children grow. I want to be able to help them raise my grandchildren. And praise Jesus, God willing, I'd like to also help raise my great-grandchildren. My great-grandmother had that privilege, and she raised me. She watched me buy my first car, have my first child. What a privilege, what a blessing that was for her. So in order for me to be able to live that long, I need to be the healthiest version of myself, spiritually, physically, and mentally. And I pray that I will continue to pursue this, because I think it is so important. And yeah, I think that's about it, you guys. That's all I've got time for this week. That's all I've got time. That's all I've got to share with you. I hope that this video encourages you and you realize that you are not alone. But most importantly, that it is a journey, and it's a beautiful journey to becoming to love yourself the way that you are, but also to not say, I want to stay this way. God asks us to come as we are, but to not remain the same. And I think it's the same with your fitness journey. Love yourself as you are. Don't look at your stomach and be like, oh, it's so fat, or your arms, oh, they're so jiggly. And they very well might be. But love yourself, and then work towards becoming a healthier, better version of you. Let health be the goal, and let strength be the goal. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.